I mean, I started life in a private school. I mean, I grew up in the church, but I went to a private school.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so it's like, do I even have that right? Where you ask, like, do they even have that self-awareness?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, I ain't private schools. So we got down rum, but I mean, not too much. You know what I'm saying? Huh? Y'all can pull my cards in. It's kind of like the curse of the gifted. If you do something really, really well, you're gonna 9 out of 10 garner an audience. That's just how the game goes. And so once you get this audience, there's this expectation or assumption or whatever for you to then become this idol, or the person to be idolized, right? Mm-hmm. And I get it, and it's a big mantle to undertake. But I often think about how I think the problem is we're looking for one person to do the job of many, right? And so when we're thinking about this conversation, there's like, if you're talking about people in this room, right, you come to my platform and your queerness can be affirmed. You go to her platform and your blackness can be affirmed. And she shouldn't have to take on the mantle of both, right? You should go to all of us and get different things from different people. But it seems like when we're talking about celebrities, especially rap artists, you want them to educate you on this, educate you on that, and I get it. But I think the year of like, what was the series, the Wheaties Box people, and like, you know, all these people being in, like, coming talking to the kids in the schools may not be the thing, but that also may be okay. Like, is there a space where that's their lane that they're talking, right? Mm-hmm. But this is my lane, but let's push everybody to all of our different lanes, opposed to pushing them all to hip hop and wanting them to get everything they should get from hip hop artists, opposed to saying, cool, Rihanna can give you something, Migos can give you something, you can go to Lene for something, Obio for something, people, you know what I'm saying?
And then I think something else to be said. Again, everything is a two-way street. There are two sides. There's more than one side to every single perspective. But even thinking about this responsibility being assigned with influence, I don't know if I completely agree that a person has to deny a private part of themselves for a public persona, because when we think about, if we're talking about musical artists, another purpose of art is to, we used this word last week, but to exhale. It is to express, it is to put what you're thinking on paper. Sometimes it doesn't have to be healthy, because God knows the human experience is not a healthy one 100% of the time.
The artist is exposing their private life through their art.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so I think, to Obio's point, like, we just have to stop placing so much onus on particular people when it's not their job necessarily to educate. I think everyone can be challenged to do that, but also everybody's not suited to do that.
That's the word. Period. Everyone does not have the language. We
can't like, you know, it doesn't make much sense. Let's invite Jacquees down to the school to teach the kids about
what?
Taxes. Well, why would we do that? Okay. Why would we do that? Whose idea was that? Just because the kids like Jacquees, you know what I'm saying? So I think there's a lot to be said in that area, but also a conversation we had in one of the first episodes of Femme Time. I sat down with one of our regulars, Too Dope. I don't know if y'all know Too Dope Rehab. She's actually on my live show hosting.
Shout out to the poets.
Gang. But she talked about the fact that we do indeed have choices. And it was a hard conversation for me to have. And I think the Femme Time audience knows, like, they've heard me speak on a lot of personal experiences that have me, I'm believing women, I'm not victim blaming, I'm hearing the perspective of the oppressed and championing that side of it, which again is why my first response to Black on Black crime is that it's being white people's fault. But she was trying to push the envelope on, okay, and at what point do we stop waiting on white people to fix the issue?
That's so difficult.
It is.
Like, because in one breath it's like, as the oppressed, I have no responsibility to teach you how to fix the system that you broke.
Correct.
For me. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, if the system is proven to continuously be broken and not do anything for me, I have to take some type of action.
But it's like my own system.
Exactly. It's like so many questions come in there.
Is it broken? Is the real question.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
it's not
perfectly
broken.
correct.
It's working.
It's
Yeah,
working.
it works.
It's fine. It ain't broken.
Wrong choice of words.
Yeah.
It's working just how they want it to
Like
work.
I struggle with that too. Like I struggle with that idea. But even if we want to take it back to like to take off, you know you have a level of influence. Should you be in this space? And I think that's a hard question. Like that's a hard that's a hard ask.
That's his life.
Yes, to it. What am I trying to say? I gotta work on that.
No, it's
Yeah,
fine.
no,
I mean, I
agree.
think essentially, like, it's a tough question because you're asking someone to deny themselves. I mean, when I heard of it, the first thing I thought of, horrible movie, maybe, okay, it's on Patreon, so I can say that. But I was thinking about that movie, Superfly, the remake.
Okay.
Anybody saw that movie?
With Trevor Jackson.
With Trevor Jackson.
Okay.
My previous baby daddy. No, it's fine. No, but there's a scene, I think towards the beginning of the film, where they come into some underground like poker or something, and I think guns are confiscated, and I think maybe only the owners have their weapons on them. But I'm just like, if these are the type of games you're gonna play, I don't even just mean dice. I just mean like if this is the type of environment you're gonna be in. I do think when you start to have something to lose, you do have to make better choices about how you expose yourself. And it's not saying that you have to change. And I do think there is stigma around wanting to set boundaries in these areas that are used to everybody having to rise to the same set of expectations when it comes to being real, when it comes to being raw, when it comes to being an OG. Like certain things are colored as or is scared or whatever, what have you, when literally it could just be like, okay, we're gonna play dice, but can't nobody bring this, that, and the other. We're gonna have security, like we're gonna have like, and I wonder if those conversations are being had. I have absolutely no idea, because literally something I've always said to myself, I don't know about that, so I don't spit about that, Like I'm not about to sit here and act like I'm from an area where I have the ins and outs to be able to even relate. But from the outside looking in, once you have something to lose, I think everybody here can attest to the fact that there are things that you have to change in your environment to keep your peace, and whatever that looks like.
But at what point do you know? You know what I mean? I think like Pop Smoke, for instance, who was killed very early in his life. I think about like, how do we, same, you know what I'm saying? We agree. But I feel like, how do you know? Because I think we're thinking about these people as like, because I think people can be unaware of the real estate that they take up in the world. You know what I mean? I think oftentimes we think that these people knew that they were a celebrity, or they knew that this type of people responded to them. But we're in a new era, guys. Like, you can become a known person very quickly these days. You know what I mean? It's not hard to become a well-known person. You make a TikTok tomorrow and people will stop you on the street.
I do want to challenge that though, because I do think that when you have goals and dreams, you know that the potential is there. And I'm challenging it because I what you said just made me think about myself, my 18-year-old self in the middle of Detroit. I remember being at a club, and I remember having this gut feeling something was about to happen. And in 2 days, I was going to college. So I had to choose in that moment, do I leave or do I stay and enjoy my last 2 days? I chose to leave because I wanted to go to school. And so I think that we do have some kind of responsibility to be self-aware enough of our own vision for our lives.
But you're asking people who are from communities that aren't really teaching them how to be self-aware to be self-aware. And also community people who are also like keeping your feet on the ground. Right? How often have you had friends say, it ain't that deep, come on. Because even when you could have friends be like, boy, come play dice. This ain't that deep, boy. You ain't this, you ain't that. And so then you, again, maybe you should be more self-aware, but we're asking people to be things that they don't come from. And I think it's very difficult.
Because self-awareness, I think, is a skill that you have to develop, and discernment is a gift. And not everybody has
that. You're absolutely right. I can agree with that. That discernment is a gift, and it is. I do know it's a gift that I'm blessed with.
I think that goes back to the beginning of when do we heal? as a community. Discernment is a gift that comes from healing and knowing. You know, God, yourself, and people around you. So my whole day was because at this conversation, I'm literally sitting here listening with my old big heart, and I'm saying, okay, what's the solution? What can we do? And that's what I'm riddling myself with all day. And the only thing I could think of was, how do we heal so that we can be more self-aware, so that we can make better choices, so that we understand that we don't have to disconnect from who we are to ascend to where we want to go. You can still be who you want to be, but maybe don't go to the dice game. I have never been to a dice game, and Louisville is infamous for dice games that has not ended with guns on the ground, too much money on the floor, and somebody getting beat up or killed. Never. And he knew that. Not saying that he knew that going in there, but if I go into a dice game or even a club that might got too many black and males in the air, I know something might pop off.
And at least at a certain time.
At a certain time, something might pop off.
You got a good 2 hours.
Exactly.
I will be honest with you. I'll let you know it is the suburb in me. I will let you know when it's time to.
Oh yeah, it's time to go.
Let me get
I'll take it easy.
The air's getting a little thick in here.
Indeed.
Exactly.
But for the people that may not have that, my mind is like, how do we reach to those people to say, hey, value your life, value our lives enough to where can we have a dice game, and what the gun is for? What the gun? Why are we for what? So that we can start to create spaces so that we can play dice and gamble. I mean, do whatever, but it doesn't have to end with the blood being on the floor.
I think I feel a little hypocritical even having this portion of the conversation, because I do think that all of us sit in a space of privilege here.
We absolutely do.
Yeah.
We are educated black people sitting here in a space of privilege. I feel self-awareness from all of you. I feel a seeking of healing from all of you. And I don't think we came from the spaces that they come from. I mean, I started life in a private school. I mean, I grew up in Detroit, but I went to a private school. Like, so it's like, do I even have that right? Where you ask, like, do they even have that self-awareness?
Well, I mean, I ain't private private schools. So we got down wrong. But not too much. You know what I'm saying? Huh? Y'all can pull my cards in there. But no, I agree. Even to that point though, I used to always struggle with this when I was volunteering in college, right? I would think about, when we go to the high schools, I would say, okay, well, I want to meet you where you are, but I want to pull you from there.
Woo, yeah, absolutely. I'm not going to leave you there.
But it's like, how do you merge? That merge is so difficult, right? Because on the one hand, if I come in here super suited and booted, you're going to think I can't identify with you. You're going to assume I'm in private school too, and then we're done. But if I come here too on your level, you're never going to go nowhere else. We're going to be here talking about the things, and we're going to be talking about the things. So there's this medium that says, I have to be able to make you feel heard, make you feel seen, but also elevate that space. And I think what we see, especially in rap music, because often I think a lot of it is performing arts, right? And I think we lose that because it feels so real to us. Yeah. I think like Meg Thee Stallion and Love at Party, that's his name, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, you still rapping about like doing this, Nick, girl, you at home with your man kicking it. You know what I'm saying? But because it's performance to you, it feels good. You like this thing. And I think we lose that in other areas of rap, where this man ain't probably toting guns no more. This man's probably just, at home with his girl doing the same thing. Likewise to Cardi B and boom, there we go. Give me some names. But I think it just becomes again a performing art. So I think all that to say, identifying with each other is real, but I think that we can't lose sight of like we all kind of have a human experience in this world, whether we're from the same hood or not. We have a human experience in this world, and we all need to exercise that empathy that comes along with that human experience.